Well, looks like we're going to be doing another episode on the media again. I wish I could say I'm getting a little burned out about it, but you know, they just keep upping the ante. It's really interesting. So, Trump accuses Barack Obama of actually wiretapping his phones over the weekend, and of course the media gets into a frenzy and does its usual thing about denying that it ever happened and everything like that, until they realize that, oh, wait a minute, we did write stories about, you know, the surveillance agencies watching Trump a few months before. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Gary Varner, this is Renegade Reason, and today, Trump's tap tweets. So let's get into it. Alright, so here's the gist of what happened.
How low has President Obama gone to tap my phones during the very sacred election process? This is Nixon/Watergate. Bad or sick guy?
I do a terrible Trump impression, don't judge me.
Terrible. Just found out that Obama had my wires tapped in Trump Tower just before the victory. Nothing found. This is McCarthyism. I bet a good lawyer could make a great case about the fact that President Obama was tapping my phones in October, just prior to the election.
So he released those tweets over the weekend. And of course, the media went into its usual circle the wagons routine. Everybody was brought in. James Comey, the FBI director, was incredulous. The director of national intelligence, James Clapper, was acting just as indignant. You know, the usual media denial and such. But then there was this guy, Mark Levin, who did a bunch of research rather quickly, I might add, and found some rather embarrassing details. Here's a clip.
I accept everything that James Clapper said, and it contradicts every piece of significant reporting over the last 6 months. If he's saying there was no FISA application, there was no FISA warrant, then why have so many news entities said that there are? That's number one. And number two, why didn't Chuck Todd have Mr. Clapper on weeks ago, before I did my radio show, before Donald Trump tweeted? Why didn't he have him on weeks ago? They're all pivoting, including the media. They were trying to present the case of overwhelming connections, overwhelming concern, overwhelming potential evidence of Trump and the campaign involved with the Russians. Now it's, wait a minute, no. Because I say, these are police state tactics. Look at all this. You have no basis for all these investigations. Now they're saying, wait a minute, we didn't have a FISA warrant. We didn't do these wiretaps, eavesdropping, electronic surveillance. Now the media are completely confounded. Which is it? Were there FISA warrants or not? Now, if there weren't, why didn't you report that weeks ago? If there are, some of us would like to see them. So we have a real problem right now. The media is turning on the media. We have leaks coming out that are felonies. We have stories about 6 federal departments and agencies, intelligence and law enforcement, that were investigating something, somebody, by somehow. So what's the answer? That's why we need to get to the bottom of this. Was there any evidence, a scintilla of evidence at all, that Trump, his campaign advisors,
None.
and his transition
None.
team were on the tape?
None.
Okay. Then why are 6 federal departments and agencies involved in an investigation, and now Clapper says he doesn't know anything?
This is profound for a lot of different ways, because we're talking about Fourth Amendment protections, First Amendment protections, Fifth Amendment protections, Sixth Amendment protections. There's so many, and the question that every American needs to know.
No, we're talking about police state tactics.
I understand, and
by an executive branch,
all of that is true, because this is unreasonable search and seizure. And if they can do it to a presidential candidate, right? Now, either they did it or they didn't. Now, if they didn't do it, then that means the New York Times owes the country an apology. That means every major newspaper and every major network owes the American people an apology, right?
Here's the New York Times, January 20th. Wiretap data used in inquiry of Trump aides. You read this earlier. One paragraph, please. The FBI is leading the investigations, aided by the National Security Agency, the CIA, the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Unit. More. The investigators have accelerated their effort. This is on inauguration morning, front page above the fold. The investigators have accelerated their efforts in recent weeks, but have found no conclusive evidence of wrongdoing, the official said. One official said, listen to this, intelligence reports based on some of the wiretap communications had been provided to the White House. Now, I didn't write that. You didn't write that. I asked Mr. Clapper. The FBI is leading an investigation. Did you know about that, sir? aided by the NSA? Did you know about that, sir? And the CIA? Did you know about that, sir? And the Treasury Department? Did you know about that, sir? Did you know that one official said intelligence reports based on some of the wiretap communications have been provided to the White House? Did you know about that? And Chuck Todd, why didn't you ask him these questions?
Okay, so I couldn't have said it better myself. Basically, the problem is this. They're saying today that there was no problem, that there wasn't these kind of extensive investigations. That's what the media is saying right now. But several months ago, or back during the inauguration, they're going, oh, there's been wiretaps handed to the White House, there's been all this stuff. And so basically they're conflicting themselves. The media is telling conflicting stories. They've been caught in a lie, and they don't know what to do about it. So it's unclear who knew what and when, but there's a good chance that a lot of stuff was done in secret. But if it was done in secret, how did the media know about it? So it's just the basic bottom line is they're lying, and there's no way to spin this in such a way that they're either lying now or they lied back during the inauguration and back when they were trying to build this case about the Russia thing. And as this Russia accusation continues to fall apart because there is no evidence for it, it looks more and more obvious or more and more apparent that the Russian accusations were bogus, which means these investigations had no proof to start with. So if you go to a FISA court with no proof, why did they have the right to do the wiretaps in the first place? And if they did have proof, what was that proof? I mean, the whole thing is so absurd now. Now, why does this matter? It matters because this is tangible proof that the government is actually using its power to not just silence political oppression in the respect that the media does. The media calls you stupid or tries to defame your name or that sort of thing. It is now trying to silence political opposition by finding grounds, by searching as hard as it can to find grounds to make you a criminal, or to make, in this case, Trump a criminal, which if they've done it to the president, it's not unreasonable to think they would do that to somebody else who is some sort of political enemy. This is not unheard of for a government to do this. Governments have tried entrapment and things like that before. They did that with Martin Luther King. They showed pictures of the women he was having affairs with and that sort of thing. They've tried to throw pressure on political opponents before. That's not new. What is new, though, is that these people are actually taking their technology and trying to find a case or trying to find a way to make the president into some sort of criminal, or to make a presidential candidate into some sort of criminal. Delegitimize the validity of the election is really what it boils down to. So here's a good, or at least a decent analogy to kind of explain what's going on. Say you ran a company, and there was somebody in your company that liked child porn. Now, if you knew he likes child porn, you'd fire his butt. But it's not like this guy's going to come up to you and go, "Hi, I'm Bob. I like child porn." But say the government comes in and starts looking through your computers and your phone calls and investigating your company for whatever reason. Maybe you pissed off some big union or something like that, and they find that Bob likes child porn. And so you, when you find out about that, you fire Bob. But instead of these guys investing their time and energy and throwing Bob in jail, they go after you because you hired the guy, and as a result, you lose your job. That's the kind of thing that's happening right now. Basically, Trump had people in his circle that were loosely connected with Russia in the respect that they were ambassadors to like Eastern Europe and stuff like that. And there's different very loose connections, but these were people that had varying degrees of association with Trump. As far as I know, I don't think any of them were like besties with the guy, but they've been searching very hard to just find some inkling of evidence that some conversation that they had with the Russians wasn't technically legal. Now, here's the thing. Think about this. They're not looking for a specific crime. That's the big difference here about what's happening. It's not like they're looking for a specific act of espionage or some sort of illegal event. They're not even necessarily looking for proof that Trump and Russia colluded together to rig the election. They're not looking for anything at all. They're just looking for a loose, general connection, so they can make the case that Trump was connected to Russia. That somehow, so they can go, see this connection over here? See, he was connected, so therefore, he must have rigged the election, or they must have rigged the election for him. They're just trying to find a connection so they can make a giant-ass inference. There is no specific crime being looked at here, which is a good indicator that this is, frankly, an open act of trying to oppress opposition, silence opposition, which is a big step towards a totalitarian government. There is, at the end of the day, no real good way to spin this for the media or anybody on the left, because if this is complete crap and Trump is just talking out of his butt like he usually does, then why were they lying 3 months ago or 2 months ago? But if Trump is telling the truth, why are they lying now? There's no way for them to get out of this quagmire. Either way, they lied. So that's the first problem. The second problem, though, is much more daunting and much more frightening. I mean, we are looking at a big step, people taking a very big step towards a totalitarian government. Now, let me ask you this question. Trump may be bitching about having his wiretap, but do you think he's going to bitch about it enough to renounce wiretapping the way it's done? Do you think he's going to try to get rid of the FISA courts? Do you think he's going to try to undo the standards set by the Patriot Act? I doubt it. So what does that say about our government? They may be complaining about it, but I guarantee you those power grabs aren't going away. So what do you think about the media? What do you think about the government? What do you think about Obama? What do you think about the direction we're heading? I can tell you, I am not happy about it. So guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. If you like this episode, please like, share, subscribe so you can get updates of when we make more episodes and everything like that. And guys, once again, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'll see you later.